Hey all, it's Nim or Nimicry if you're feeling professional, and welcome to the YouTube video. Now today we're going to be talking about the Sage, the final healer, an Endwalker, and of course a new class. We've already covered the White Mage, the Scholar, and the Astrologian, so let's finish strong. That being said, before we get started, you like what I do, you like the channel, or if you just happen to like me, go on and click subscribe and hit that notification bell. I consider it a personal favor, and it helps the channel immensely. That being said, of course, we do also have a list of patrons on screen right now. These are wonderful people who happen to believe in me, even as I'm still a somewhat smallish creator. So thank you to them personally. Without further ado, let's get started on the Sage. The Sage. When I think of the Sage, I think of a high-level master magician who can use black and white magic, and who is often known to call musicians, "You spoony bard!" But on a serious note, let's talk about the Sage. So, the Sage is a new class, and while the Gundam-inspired Nowless do look absolutely amazing, Sage isn't quite the heavy damage dealer that you would think. That, of course, goes to White Mage with its Glare of Death, and later on, Glare 3. So, yeah. Anyways. This will be talked about from a broader perspective since it is a new job. So first off, Cardia grants the perpetual effect of Caridon to yourself or a party member. When active, a portion of the damage you deal will be converted to HP restored to the designee. To deal damage, you have Diosis for single target attack that fires off cool lasers, Disraka for AoE damage, and Flemma for a powerful 2-charge off global GCD cooldown timer of 45 seconds. To the other spell, Toxicon in a moment. So far, seems alright. Cardia, so I like a damage healer. That's kind of a cool thing. Now, I can understand why it wouldn't be at top of the damage, because if that's how it heals, it could be either very, very powerful, or if you mess up, you're not doing anything. So I kind of like the middle of the road thing. But of course, with high skill and high gear, I'm sure we could see some sages really shine. Let's begin with the core cast. Diagnosis is your basic cure. Prognosis is your basic party-wide heal. Physis is your party-wide regen style heal. Okay, so like a Medica. These spells can be further modified to apply barriers for damage mitigation by activating Eugrasia before casting, and it is always available to use. Eugrasia also turns Dosis into a dot spell. Hey, so you got a little damage over time effect there, which can be helpful if you have to run away and may not be able to stop to cast. Moving on to the job gauge, Sage has Adder's Gall, which accumulates up to 3 stacks, 1 every 20 seconds, and grants access to your Coal healing spells. So, Duracol for single target healing, Icocol, or Ichocol for party-wide healing, and Caracol for regen healing and damage mitigation, and Taracol for party-wide regen and mitigation. Each Coal spell is an instant cast and costs 1 Adder's Gall. 2 major abilities that are central to the Sage's core are Hyma and Panhyma, or Panhyma, the latter of which is a party-wide version unlocked at level 80. Over the course of 30 seconds, Hyma applies a barrier that features 5 stacks of Hymenation. Each stack mitigates 150 potency. Think each stack as a layer in the barrier. After those 30 seconds, any remaining stacks will have a 150 potency heal. So it's not a dead cast. That is very important for efficiency purposes, because let's say, hypothetically, alright, somebody's low, hey, I'm going to throw Hyma, boom, on that person, and that way I know they're going to be fine for basic hits because they're running away and they're getting out of AoEs and they're not going to be cleaved for melee, whereas you may want to put more direct heals and more actually active participation as a healer on, say, your main tank, who's getting, whacked about the face with spoons from said spoony bard. Let me demonstrate. There we go. That was for science, not for self-injury. The other element to the Sage job gauge is Adder Sting. Every time you use one of your Eucrasin-based barriers, and it gets absorbed, you gain 1 stack of Adder Sting up to a total of 3 stacks. This gives you access to the aforementioned damage AoE spell called Toxicon, which costs 1 Adder Sting per cast. Sage's skill set is rife with other abilities that strengthen your spells and optimize your capabilities in battle. As you get closer to level 90, these skills continue to grow, topped off with the big damage dealer called Numa. This is a line-style AoE on a 120-second cooldown that does a lot. It inflicts a decent amount of damage, heals nearby party members for 400 potency, reduces the damage they take by 10% for 20 seconds, and heals your Caridon partner. Overall, the Sage has some fascinating mechanics going on with a good deal of complexity, especially when you start thinking about how to best manage all those barriers. Indeed, I happen to agree there. So let's take a look here. So we have the Sage actions from level 1 to 49. So we have our Dosis, deals unexpected damage with potency of 240. Additional effect, restores HP under the effect of Cardon, granted by you. Diagnosis, cures target HP. Restores target HP. Cure potency 450. That's required at level 2. Cardia, grants self the effect of Cardia and selected party member or self of Cardon, restoring HP after casting certain magic attacks. Prognosis, restores own HP and HP of all nearby party members. Your potency is 300, and you get that at 10. Igero, resurrects the target to a weakened state. Physis, gradually restores own HP and HP of all nearby party members. The cure potency is 100, and the duration is 21 seconds. Flemma, deals unexpected damage to target and all enemies nearby with a potency of 360 for the first enemy and 30% less for all remaining enemies. Restores HP target under the effect of Cardon, granted by myself, and that with cure potency is 170, and the maximum charges are 2. Now, this action does not share a recast timer with any of your other actions, so that, of course, is your off GCD, which you can use to weave, so you could potentially cast, you could potentially cast your Dosis, and then hit, as it's ticking, as the GCD clock is ticking down, cast your Flemma. Machinist is very good at that, the off GCD weaving into casts for a rotation. Eucrasia augments certain offensive and healing magic actions. Dosis 3 is upgraded to Eucrasian Dosis. Diagnosis is upgraded to Eucrasian Diagnosis. And Prognosis is upgraded to Eucrasian Prognosis. Of course, we have Eucrasian Diagnosis. Restores target HP. Your potency is 300. Erects a magical barrier as well that nullifies damage, equating to 180% of the HP restored when critical HP is restored. Also grants differential diagnosis, nullifying damage, equating to 180% of the amount of HP restored. Duration is 30 seconds. It cannot be stacked with Eucrasian Prognosis or Scholar's Galvanize. So, it seems like if we crit on that, you get a bigger barrier. We like that. So maybe a heavy crit build can help mitigate things. Eucrasian Dosis deals unexpected damage over time. The potency is 30, lasts 30 seconds. Restores HP to targets under the effect of Cardon, granted by you. Perfect. That cannot be assigned to a hotbar. So keep that in mind. That particular action cannot be assigned to a hotbar. The Eucrasian Prognosis restores own HP and all HP of nearby party members. Your potency is 100. Erects a magic barrier in which nullifies damage, equating to 320% of the amount of HP restored. The duration is 30 seconds, and it cannot be stacked with Eucrasian Diagnosis or the Scholar's Galvanize. And that cannot be assigned to a hotbar, much like Eucrasian Diagnosis and Eucrasian Dosis. Soteria doubles the cure potency of Cardon effect granted by you. Now that's pretty good. You can recover with tank busters, and it would require some quick thinking. Icarus. Rush to a targeted enemy or party member's location, unable to cast if bound. Oh, so you got a gap closer as a healer. I like that. Neutral. Restores target HP, cure potency 600. Additional effect, restores 5% of maximum MP, and it has an Adder's Gall cost. Okay, so 1 there. That's, because I was going to say, that's fairly powerful. So it's either going to have a long recast time, or it's going to cost your secondary resource. Discretion. Deals unexpected damage with a potency of 160 to all nearby enemies. Restores HP to targets under the effect of Cardon, granted by you. Okay, pretty nice. We have the Sage actions, 50 to 79 now. Carachul reduces damage taken by self and nearby party members by 10%. The duration is, of course, 15 seconds. Effect cannot be stacked with Tarachul. Additional effect is regen. The cure potency is 100, and it lasts 15 seconds. It also restores 5% of maximum MP and costs 1 Adder's Gall. Ixochul restores HP and HP of all nearby party members for 400 potency and restores 5% of maximum MP. Costs 1 Adder's Gall. Zoe, depending on how you want to pronounce it, doubles the amount of cured by your next healing spell. Duration 30 seconds. So, ooh, that's a big one. I wish it could be cast on other healers as well, because you could really hit them with that, I don't know, something real big. Be nice. We have Pepsis, restores own HP and the HP of nearby party members by removing Eucrasian Diagnosis and Eucrasian Prognosis effects granted by you. So the Eucrasian Diagnosis cure potency is 450, and the Eucrasian Prognosis cure potency is 350. Targets not, and this is very important, not under the effect of Eucrasian Diagnosis or Eucrasian Prognosis will not be healed. So keep that in mind if you're wondering, like, why isn't Pepsis doing something? Well, you got to target, you got to have the setup. Hit them with the Diagnosis or the Prognosis of Eucrasian variety. We have Physis 2, gradually restores own HP and all HP of nearby party members for a cure potency of 200, which is double of the original physics, and increases HP recovered by healing magic by 10%. The duration is 15 seconds. Hey, that's not bad. 15 seconds, plus you get a 10% healing increase. Could be nice. Could be fun. Tarochol. Restores target's HP. Cure potency is 600. Reduces target damage taken by 10%. Ooh, good tank heal there. And, of course, it lasts 15 seconds. It cannot be stacked with Tarochol, and it restores 5% of maximum MP. The Adder's Gall cost is 1. So we're on Toxicon. Finally! Remember, Toxicon deals unexpected damage to target and all enemies nearby with a potency of 320 for the first enemy and 50% less for all remaining enemies. Restores HP to targets under the effect of Caradon, granted by you. The cure potency is 170, and the Adder Sting cost is 1. That's acquired at level, looks like 66. I'm sorry, that might be... What is that? Oh, there we go. Hey, look at that. In that module. I was right, 66. Of course, we have Hyma there. Creates a barrier around self or target party member that absorbs damage equal to a heal of 150 potency. Its additional effect grants 5 stacks of Hamination. And okay, let's bounce out of that. We're gonna back out of that. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. 5 stacks of Hamination. Duration is 30 seconds. When the barrier is completely absorbed, a stack of Haman is consumed and a new barrier is applied. When the effect duration expires, a new healing effect is then applied. Your potency is 150 per remaining stack of Hamination. Effect cannot be stacked with Pan-Hama. We have Doses 2. Deals unexpected damage with potency of 320. The additional effect is restores HP to targets under the effect of Caradon, granted by you, and the cure potency is 170 as well. Rolling up, we have the Eucrasian Dosis. Deals unexpected damage over time, doubling the potency of the previous one, and restores HP as much the same way. Flemma 2. Deals unexpected damage to targets and all enemies nearby with a potency of 490 to the first enemy and 50% less for the remaining enemies. Restores HP under the effect of Caradon, granted by you. The cure potency is set 170, and the total charges are 2. This action, again, does not share a recast timer, so that's the upgraded Flemma, which means your OGCD ability gets upgraded. Rizomata. Grants 1 stack of Adder's Gall. Oh, useful. So it's a 90-second recast. Pretty useful. Holos. Restores own HP and HP of all nearby party members. Cure potency, 300. Not a bad thing. Now we have the Sage actions from 80 to 90. Panhyma. Erects a magical barrier around self and all party members near you that absorbs damage equivalent to a 150 heal potency. Grants 5 stacks of Panhamination. Duration 30 seconds. When the barrier is completely absorbed, a stack of Panhamination is consumed and a new barrier is applied. When the effect duration expires, a healing effect is then applied. 150 per remaining stack of Panhamination, and it cannot stack with Hyma. Doses 3. Deals unexpected damage with a potency of 330. Additional effect, of course, restores targets like the other to Caradon, like the other Doses 1 and 2. The cure potency is still 170 at that point. The Dyscrasia 2. Deals unexpected damage with a potency of 170 to all nearby enemies. Restores HP to targets under Caradon, granted by you, and the cure potency is 170. The Eucrasian Doses 3 deals unexpected damage over time. Potency is 70, so it's not quite the big jump that it was from 30 to 60. It's now 60 to 70. The duration is 30 seconds, and of course, it restores HP to targets under the effect of Caradon, granted by you, and the cure potency is 170. Flemma 3 deals unexpected damage to target all enemies nearby it with a potency of 510 for the first enemy and 50% less for the remaining enemies. Restores HP to targets under the effect of Caradon, granted by you. The cure potency is 2, and again, it's maximum of 2 charges. So your OCD levels up again, and it does not share a recast timer. So keep that in mind, it's going to be a very important spell. We have Toxicon 2, deals unexpected damage to target and all enemies nearby with a potency of 330 for the first enemy and 50% less for all remaining enemies. It restores HP to targets under the effect of Caradon, granted by you, and the cure potency is 170. Uses 1 Adder Sting. Crassus. Increases HP recovery while healing actions for a party member or self by 20%, and it lasts for 10 seconds. That's wonderful. And then, of course, finally, at level 90, Pneuma. Deals unexpected damage to all enemies in a straight line before you with a potency of 330 for the first enemy, 50% less for the remaining enemies. It also restores own HP and HP of all nearby party members, reducing incoming damage by 10%. Its cure potency is 400. Duration of the damage reduction is 10 seconds. It also restores HP to targets of under the effect of Caradon, and that is a 170 cure potency. It is an off GCD ability. Their ultimate is off GCD, so that's a pretty good ultimate ability. We go down to the traits and job gauge. We don't need to go over the traits. You'll see them as they go up. It just essentially increases various things. Of course, you have the Adder's Gall and Adder's Sting gauge. So what I'm going to mention here, guys, is something I'm going to take away from this is the thing that is known as Caradon is going to be exceedingly important. So you're going to have to move it around depending on what you need to do for optimal Sage gameplay. So if that's something that you don't necessarily like, you may be better going off as a White Mage or as a Scholar or an Astrologian, because a lot of these abilities do extra things. And that extra thing is, of course, restore HP to somebody under the effect of Caradon. I might have said that, I don't know, 50 times during this video. So keep that in mind. Now, I'm not saying don't try the new healing class, but if it takes a little while for you to get it, don't beat yourself up about it. Luckily, the community is usually very understanding, and of course, new classes are going to take time to master. So, that wraps up our healers. Will you be playing a healer in Endwalker? Please let me know in the comments below, or on Twitter, at Nimicry, Nimicry. If you enjoyed this video, or you like me in general, or you like what I do, go on and click subscribe, as I would consider it a personal favor, and it helps the channel immensely. In addition, if you'd like to talk to me on a more lengthy personal basis, there's a link to my Discord down below. And I stream on Twitch every Friday through Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We often are playing Final Fantasy XIV, so pop on in, tell me what you think, maybe issue corrections, maybe say, hey, Nim, you forgot this one thing, or you mispronounced this. It happens. I'm not perfect. To end, though, thank you for watching this far, and thank you for enjoying the content I produce. I will see you in the next video, and may the mount you're farming drop on the first kill. Bye.